Hello, my friends. It's your buddy Phil here, Project Management Trainer and Coach. We're going to talk today about the Kickoff Meeting. The Kickoff Meeting is one of those topics that appears on certain project management exams. But beyond just getting ready for the exam, I wanted to give you some ideas about the benefits of a Kickoff Meeting and what this should look like. Have you ever found yourself on a project where you've got no clue as to what exactly the main reason for the project is? What is the main goal? What is the main objective? Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever found yourself working on software, working on maybe a hardware implementation, where you don't really know the underlying reasons for what you're doing? This is just one of the reasons why a kickoff meeting is needed. So if you're a project manager on a project at any level, in any realm, IT, engineering, healthcare, gaming, the beauty industry, aerospace, whatever it is, bear in mind that a kickoff meeting is very important and you cannot underestimate its importance. So the first thing you want to do before the kickoff meeting is, of course, to have a project charter. You shouldn't be having a kickoff meeting if you don't have a project charter in place. And you should not be looking at a project charter if you do not have a solid business case, if you do not have a solid benefits management plan, a benefits management strategy. So these are the precursors to the kickoff meeting. Now let's take a look at these really quick. What is a benefits management plan? It's a plan that guides you on how to realize the benefits from the project. It addresses what exactly are the benefits from the project, what are we going to gain, and then in addition to that, the time frame for those benefits, and who is responsible for ensuring those benefits are realized. That has to be discussed up front. So when you're going into the kickoff meeting, whoever is the benefits manager, they are there to share with the team what exactly you stand to gain at the end of the whole thing. See, the business case, which is owned by the project sponsor, should document why we're working on this project. What is the end goal? What is the end game? You see, so these two individuals, your sponsor and your benefits manager, which in many instances may double as the project manager, these folks have to be in the room to adequately give people a picture of what the project is meant to do. Not a half-baked picture, but a full, robust picture. You see, that is how you get your champions. That is how you get your early adopters of the system. That is how you get traction on a project. You need to have people that can cast a vision for whatever the project is, all right? So with that understood, we understand we must have a charter, and before we got the charter, we must understand why we're working on the project, what we seek to gain, what the benefits are, when you're going to get the benefits. Because if you tell team members, oh, the benefits are not going to be realized until 5 years later, well, someone's planning to leave tomorrow. So how does that, what's in it for him? So not just the long-term benefits, look for those short-term benefits that people often forget. If nothing else, it's an opportunity to synergize as a team, right, on a project. So anyway, after all those things are in place, after you've got your project charter, or some people call it a PID, project initiation document, you've got all that background stuff. Well, the next step is to begin to create an agenda for the kickoff meeting. Create an agenda that you would actually like to implement. The key people who are going to speak, what you're going to share, you need to be focusing on that. Now, when you've got your agenda in place, you also want to be focusing on the work at hand and the division of work, the division of labor, who is involved in the project and what are their roles and responsibilities. It's a place for you to clarify who is doing what, especially when they are cross-functional teams. See, now some of the things you can put into your agenda to make sure it's a wholesome and robust meeting are, first of all, the introductions. Secondly, as you're doing your introductions, the value that each team brings to the table. Not their roles and responsibilities just yet, but why you need these teams, why you need the people in the room, And it's also an opportunity for the project manager to begin to build trust, to begin to build that credibility with the wider audience of stakeholders. So a very well-run kickoff meeting is a sign of things to come. A poorly run kickoff meeting is a sign of the dreadful things that are about to happen on the project. Because, hey, this project manager can barely run a kickoff meeting. We're doomed. You see what I'm saying? So it's an opportunity for the project manager to shine and build that trust and build that credibility, and that is a foundation stone for many more great things to come. Something else the project manager needs to be aware of, and the PMI alludes to this in the initiating process group and planning, it's meetings. So if you look at develop project charter and you look at develop project management plan, what do you notice? Meetings is one of the tools and techniques. And that's because communication is paramount on projects. Just take a look at the reports that are out there. Projects fail because of lack of communication. So you want to begin to build that environment for communicating. But it has to be within context of the meeting, and you also need to make sure you stick to your agenda, stick to your time schedule. Okay? A kickoff meeting is also an opportunity for the project manager to, as needed or as relevant, set the tone for expectations on the project. What is expected? When? What is the time frame? Like high-level milestones is one, but when it comes to expectations or ground rules, that is also another opportunity for the project manager to share things like that. And do not forget, as you're running the meeting, like I said, you want to make sure it's timed, you want to make sure that you're on point, and you want to make sure that people aren't throwing in red herrings, and want to make sure people are not digressing. When I say red herrings, I mean you want to make sure people are not throwing in information or saying things that will make you go off on a different trajectory instead of sticking to the points at hand. Okay? Now, as part of the kickoff meeting, just like in the world of the PMI, you already know how everything is broken out into knowledge areas. In a kickoff meeting, it's an opportunity to cover, as we say, the top of the waves or the major aspects of every knowledge area. So, in scope, targeting high-level items, big ticket items like the scope baseline, that would be an opportunity to comment at maybe level 2 of the WBS. Just cover the level 2 items, and then you want to attach the level 2 items to any associated risks. Any of those associated risks that will impact level 2, cover those. In addition to that, any milestones that fall under level 2, cover that as well. And when it comes to risk and cost and schedule, these things have to be discussed. The places where majority of the budget will be spent or where a large chunk of the money is going to be spent, those actually are high-risk areas. You don't want anything to go wrong. So it's also another opportunity to discuss those big items that are connected to schedule, cost, scope, risk. Now, in a kickoff meeting, it is not uncommon to have contractors, to have people who are going to be working together, in construction projects, whether it's a design build or design bid build or a boot. The individuals involved in that endeavor should also be part of the discussion. So do not forget to include people who could affect the project, such as these external folks. When it comes to the other areas, quality is big, because if you don't create a quality product, what's going to happen? The never-ending project, right? So it's also an opportunity for you to talk about quality. For whoever your quality manager is, it's an opportunity for your quality manager to speak to the audience about quality, not going into too much detail, but at a level that is relevant to what I said is level 2, or control account, if you will. If there are control account managers in the firm, it is also an opportunity for control account managers to be mentioned and acknowledged, because remember, project manager, these are the people who are going to help you execute at the lower levels. When we talk about kickoff meetings, don't forget that these have names in other worlds. It's not always going to be called a kickoff meeting. Some organizations have other names that they call these meetings. But all in all, you want to make sure that it is a well spent time allocated to this endeavor. You want to make sure that people come away saying, that was a good use of my time, that was not a waste of my time, compared to other meetings. Now, I deliberately left this stuff to last because I wanted us to focus on the practicality and the pragmatism of the kickoff meeting. But at this point, we should probably take a look at what exactly the PMP guide does say about kickoff meetings and its relevance if you are taking the PMP exam. So if you're taking the PMP exam, kickoff meetings are broken into big buckets in the PMP guide. The first big bucket is taking a look at small projects. So small projects are the first bucket, and then the second bucket are big projects. So let's take a look at page 86 in the PMP guide. Page 86. And this is under meetings and in the process known as Develop Project Management Plan. All right, it reads, the project kickoff meeting is usually associated with the end of planning. And the start of executing. So note the word usually. Its purpose is to communicate the objectives of the project, to gain commitment of the team for the project, and explain the roles and responsibilities of each stakeholder. See that? So 3 things there: commitment, roles and responsibilities, and also the end game of the project. Objectives, commitment, and roles. The kickoff meeting may occur at different points in time, depending on the characteristics of the project. So watch this if you're taking the exam. Small projects. If your project is a small project, the kickoff meeting is going to happen in planning. Not in initiating, in planning. It reads, for small projects, there is usually only one team that performs the planning and execution. In this case, the kickoff occurs shortly after initiating in the planning process group, because the team is involved in planning. You see that? So small projects, think about planning. Now let's read the next bullet. In large projects, a project management team normally does majority of the planning, and the remainder of the project team is brought on when the initial planning is complete. You see that? At the start of the development/implementation. So you need to tie development/implementation to executing, because it says in this instance, the kickoff meeting takes place with processes in the executing process group. Did you catch that? So small projects, kickoff meeting in planning. Large projects, kickoff meeting in executing. It then goes further to say multi-phase projects will typically include a kickoff meeting at the beginning of each phase. See that? So as you're getting ready for the exam on a different tone, just be sure to understand kickoff meetings as documented here in the PMP guide on page 86 do not happen in initiating. They either happen in planning, at the beginning of planning, or in executing, just before the executing begins, as part of the event to, as it were, kick off the work. Okay? So with that, I hope you gained something from all this discussion about kickoff meetings, and I'm hoping that on your next project, you guys will put together an awesome kickoff meeting. You'll get the right people involved. You put together a great agenda. You get all those objectives, the benefits, why you're working on the project, the key people who need to foster that buy-in and trust, and get everybody moving along in a cohesive whole. I'm hoping that you get those people in the room. And of course, there are always going to be, on some projects, naysayers, people who don't want your project to succeed. And that's okay. Have them in the room and try to win them over. Let them know why the project is a go, and look at it as an opportunity to get the naysayers to come along for the ride. Okay? I hope that helped you. That's all I've got. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.